What if I told you that right now, at this very moment, there are microscopic cancer cells quietly forming inside your body? Not as a distant possibility, not as a worst case scenario, as a biological fact. Autopsy studies conducted on people who died in accidents completely unrelated to cancer revealed something that stopped the medical world cold. Roughly 40% of women between the ages of 40 and 50 already have microscopic cancers in their breasts. Around 50% of men in their 50s and 60s have microscopic prostate cancers silently present. And by the time any of us reaches our 70s, virtually 100% of us will have microscopic cancers growing in our thyroid glands. This is not a horror story. This is normal human biology. And here's the extraordinary part, the part that changes everything. Most of those cancers never become dangerous. They never grow. They never spread. They never hurt you. The question is not whether cancer is forming inside you. The question is, what is your body doing every single day to keep it dormant? And more importantly, what are you doing or failing to do that might be tipping the balance in the wrong direction? See, we have been taught to think about cancer as something that happens to us, a diagnosis that arrives without warning, a genetic lottery, we either win or lose. But the science that has emerged over the last 2 decades tells a fundamentally different story. It tells us that your body is already running a sophisticated anti-cancer defense system around the clock. It has 5 separate biological defense mechanisms: angiogenesis regulation, immune surveillance, DNA repair, stem cell control, and the gut microbiome. And every one of them is profoundly influenced by the choices you make every single day. The food you eat, the time you eat it, the way you sleep, the way you move. These are not vague lifestyle suggestions. They are biological levers you can pull starting today to strengthen your body's own ability to suppress cancer before it ever gets a chance to grow. After 50, this becomes more urgent than ever. The immune system becomes less vigilant with age. Inflammation accumulates, insulin sensitivity declines, the gut microbiome shifts. Every one of these changes creates a more permissive environment for cancer to grow. But here is what most doctors never tell you. You have enormous influence over all of them. The research is clear, the mechanisms are understood, and the strategies are simple enough to implement without a prescription. Today, we are going to walk through exactly what is happening inside your body after 50 that increases cancer risk and precisely what you can do to reverse it. We are going to talk about the blood supply that feeds tumors and how to cut it off with food. We are going to talk about the gut microbiome and the bacterial ecosystem that either arms your immune system against cancer or leaves it defenseless. We are going to talk about chronic inflammation, the slow, silent fire that scientists now consider one of the most powerful drivers of cancer growth. We are going to talk about sleep as a biological repair mechanism, insulin as a cancer accelerant, and the single daily movement habit that reduces cancer risk more than most supplements on the market. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you are going to understand your body in a way that puts you in control. Here are the 6 science-backed insights we are going to cover today. First, understanding angiogenesis, the blood supply switch that separates harmless cancer from dangerous cancer. Second, the anti-angiogenic foods that can cut off tumor blood supply starting from your very next meal. Third, the gut microbiome reset that arms your immune system with its most powerful anti-cancer tools. Fourth, chronic inflammation, why it fuels cancer growth, and how to extinguish it naturally. Fifth, insulin and blood sugar dysregulation, the metabolic environment that cancer loves. And sixth, sleep and daily movement, the 2 free habits that activate your body's repair machinery every single night. Let us start with the most important concept in modern cancer biology that almost no one outside of research labs talks about: angiogenesis. Here is what is really going on inside your body. Every cancer, every single type, needs blood vessels to survive and grow beyond a tiny, harmless cluster of cells. In their earliest stages, tumors are microscopic. We are talking about a group of cells no larger than the tip of a ballpoint pen. At that size, they can survive on passive nutrient diffusion. But the moment they want to grow larger and become dangerous, they need to recruit their own dedicated blood supply. That process, the growth of new blood vessels to feed a tumor, is called angiogenesis. And it is the tipping point between a cancer that stays harmless and a cancer that kills. Here is the simple analogy. Think of those microscopic cancers like tiny fires in a forest. As long as there is no oxygen and no fuel being actively pumped toward them, they smolder harmlessly. The moment you connect a fuel line, a new blood vessel, those small fires can explode into wildfires. Angiogenesis is that fuel line, and your body already has systems in place to prevent tumors from making that connection. The Angiogenesis Foundation, led by physician scientist Dr. William Lee, has spent decades studying exactly this, and what they found is extraordinary. Many of the foods in your grocery store contain bioactive compounds that are just as potent at blocking tumor angiogenesis as actual pharmaceutical drugs. In direct laboratory testing, where foods were placed head-to-head against cancer drugs using the same experimental systems used to study cancer medicine, 50% of the tested foods were as or more potent than the drugs themselves. Let that number land. Not slightly helpful, not mildly supportive, as or more potent than cancer drugs. Lycopene in tomatoes, resveratrol in red grapes, EGCG in green tea, sulforaphane in broccoli. These are not marketing buzzwords. They are anti-angiogenic molecules with documented mechanisms of action in peer-reviewed science. What the research shows is that a soy intake associated with as much as a 30% reduced risk of death in women with breast cancer. Men who ate 2 to 3 servings of cooked tomatoes per week reduced their risk of developing prostate cancer by 40 to 50%, according to research from Harvard. These are not small statistical signals. These are clinically meaningful reductions achieved through nothing more than consistent dietary choices. Cooking tomatoes in olive oil increases lycopene absorption by double. Sautéing them for just 2 minutes increases absorption by 50%. The way you prepare your food matters as much as what food you choose. The behavioral protocol here is straightforward. Every day, include at least one anti-angiogenic food in your main meal. Cook tomatoes with olive oil, a cup of green tea, a handful of walnuts, dark chocolate above 70% cacao, strawberries or blueberries. Cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower, steamed but not overcooked. These are not exotic ingredients. They are accessible foods that your body already knows what to do with. Start with one. Build from there. The goal is daily consistency, not perfection. Before we go any further, I want to take a moment and connect with our community. If you are new here, welcome to BioBites, the YouTube channel, where we break down the most important health science into strategies you can actually use. We are building a global community of people who are serious about taking charge of their health naturally, and we would love for you to be part of it. If you find value in what we share here, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you never miss a new video. And I am genuinely curious, where in the world are you watching this from? Drop your country or city in the comments below. We have viewers spanning 6 continents, and every time someone new joins this community from a corner of the world I have never heard from before, it reminds me why this work matters. Your engagement keeps us researching, scripting, and showing up for you. Now, let us keep going. The second insight connects directly to the first, and it lives inside your gut microbiome. The roughly 38 trillion bacteria, fungi, and other microorganisms living inside your digestive tract is not just about digestion. It is one of the most powerful modulators of your immune system. And your immune system is your body's primary cancer surveillance mechanism. Every single day, your immune cells are scanning your tissues for abnormal cells with damaged DNA that have the potential to become cancerous. When they find them, they destroy them. This is called immune surveillance, and it is happening continuously, silently, without you ever noticing. But here is the problem. After 50, this surveillance system weakens, and a major reason it weakens is dysbiosis and imbalance in the gut microbiome. A 2025 study published in the journal Gut Microbes confirmed what researchers have been building toward for years. Specific bacterial species in the gut actively suppress cancer development by influencing the host immune system and metabolism. When the gut microbiome is diverse and balanced, it produces short-chain fatty acids like butyrate that reduce inflammation, activate anti-tumor immune cells, and help regulate the signals that control abnormal cell growth. When the microbiome is disrupted through poor diet, antibiotics, chronic stress, or lack of fiber, those protective mechanisms collapse. The gut becomes a source of chronic low-grade inflammation rather than a source of immune strength. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your immune system is an army. A healthy gut microbiome is the training camp, the supply chain, and the strategic intelligence unit all in one. When that infrastructure is functioning well, your immune army is well equipped, well informed, and highly responsive. When the gut is in dysbiosis, it is like cutting off supply lines, scrambling intelligence communications, and sending soldiers into battle without training. Cancer cells are not passive. They are actively trying to evade detection. Your immune army needs to be at its sharpest. The most powerful way to restore and diversify your gut microbiome after 50 is through dietary fiber specifically, prebiotic fiber that feeds beneficial bacteria. Aim for 30 or more grams of fiber per day from diverse plant sources, not just one type of vegetable, but a wide variety. Leeks, garlic, onions, Jerusalem artichokes, oats, legumes, flaxseed, chia seeds, apples with skin, and fermented foods like kimchi, sauerkraut, and plain live culture yogurt. Diversity in your plant intake creates diversity in your microbiome, and diversity in your microbiome means a more resilient, more capable immune system. Try this. For the next 2 weeks, aim to eat 30 different plant foods per week, not 30 servings, 30 different types. Count them. You will be surprised how achievable it is and how quickly your digestive health and energy levels can shift. The third insight is about inflammation, and this is one of the most underestimated cancer risk factors in medicine. We tend to think of inflammation as something acute, the redness and swelling around a cut, the fever that comes with an infection. That kind of inflammation is healthy. It is your body mobilizing resources to heal a threat. But there is another kind of inflammation that is entirely different: chronic, low-grade systemic inflammation. It does not announce itself with pain or visible swelling. It burns quietly inside your tissues month after month, year after year. And the scientific consensus is now clear. Chronic inflammation is not just a symptom of disease, it is a driver of it, particularly cancer. Here's what is really going on inside your body when chronic inflammation is present. Inflammatory signaling molecules like interleukin-6, TNF-alpha, and NF-κB create a cellular environment that promotes abnormal cell growth, suppresses the immune surveillance of early-stage cancer cells, and increases DNA damage. A 2024 analysis published in Cancer Prevention Research confirmed that chronic inflammation promotes tumor angiogenesis. It literally helps cancer build its blood supply faster. It is as though inflammation is handing cancer the tools it needs to grow. What drives chronic inflammation after 50? Several things, and most of them are controllable. Ultra-processed foods, particularly those containing refined seed oils, high fructose corn syrup, and artificial preservatives, are among the most potent dietary drivers of systemic inflammation. Excess visceral fat, the fat stored deep around the organs, produces its own inflammatory hormones. Poor sleep drives inflammatory cytokine production. Chronic psychological stress activates the cortisol inflammatory axis, and a sedentary lifestyle removes one of the most powerful natural anti-inflammatory mechanisms we have: physical movement. The protocol here is simple, but requires consistent action. First, eliminate or dramatically reduce ultra-processed foods. If it has more than 5 ingredients on the label, and most of them are chemicals you cannot pronounce, treat it as inflammatory input. Second, increase your intake of anti-inflammatory foods: extra virgin olive oil, wild-caught fatty fish rich in omega-3s, turmeric with black pepper, dark leafy greens, and berries. Third, manage stress through structured daily practices. Even 10 minutes of slow, controlled breathing or outdoor walking has measurable effects on cortisol and inflammatory markers. The research is not ambiguous on this. Inflammation is manageable, and managing it consistently after 50 is one of the highest leverage things you can do for cancer prevention. The fourth insight is about insulin, and this is the one that connects cancer to the broader metabolic health conversation that most people are not having. After 50, insulin sensitivity tends to decline. The pancreas continues producing insulin, but the body's cells become less responsive to its signal. This forces the pancreas to produce even more insulin to achieve the same effect, a state called hyperinsulinemia, or chronically elevated insulin. And here is what most people don't know. Insulin is a growth hormone, not just for muscles, for cells of all kinds, including abnormal ones. Here is what is really going on inside your body when insulin stays chronically elevated. Insulin activates a cellular pathway called mTOR, a master regulator of cell growth and proliferation. In a healthy metabolic environment, mTOR is carefully regulated. In a hyperinsulinemic environment, it runs hot, continuously signaling cells to grow, divide, and replicate. At the same time, elevated insulin suppresses a molecule called IGF-BP3, which normally acts as a brake on cancer cell growth. Remove the brake, accelerate the growth signal, and you have a metabolic environment where dormant cancer cells are far more likely to activate and proliferate. What the research shows is that people with type 2 diabetes, a condition defined largely by insulin resistance and hyperinsulinemia, face substantially elevated risks for multiple cancers, including colorectal, pancreatic, breast, and liver cancers. The mechanism is not mysterious. It is insulin acting as a cancer accelerant on a metabolic system that has lost its natural regulatory balance. The good news is that insulin sensitivity is highly trainable. The most powerful lever is dietary. Dramatically reducing refined carbohydrates and sugar, particularly liquid sugars from juices, sweetened beverages, and ultra-processed snacks, removes the primary fuel source for chronic hyperinsulinemia. Intermittent fasting, even a modest 12 to 14 hour overnight fast, lowers fasting insulin levels, upregulates cellular repair processes, and gives your metabolic system time to reset. Time-restricted eating, finishing your last meal before 7 p.m. and not eating again until 7 a.m. is one of the simplest protocols you can adopt. Pair it with a diet rich in fiber, healthy fats, and quality protein, and you fundamentally shift your metabolic environment away from one that nurtures cancer toward one that suppresses it. Now let us talk about something you do every night or fail to do adequately that is either working powerfully in your favor or silently undermining every other health strategy you implement: sleep. Specifically, the biological repair work that your body performs exclusively during deep, uninterrupted sleep. This is not just about feeling rested. During the deep stages of sleep, your body activates a set of maintenance and repair processes that are directly relevant to cancer prevention. DNA repair enzymes go to work correcting genetic damage that has accumulated during the day. The glymphatic system clears cellular waste from the brain. And crucially, your immune system, including the NK cells, natural killer cells, that patrol for and destroy abnormal cells, is most active and most effective during sleep. Here is the simple analogy. Think of your body as a complex machine that runs all day and needs a complete maintenance cycle every night to stay functional. Your DNA is accumulating small errors continuously from oxidative stress, from environmental exposures, from normal cellular metabolism. Most of these errors are caught and repaired, but the repair team works on night shift. When you consistently get fewer than 6 hours of sleep, or when your sleep is fragmented and light, you are cutting short the maintenance window. Small DNA errors that should have been corrected are left unaddressed, and over years and decades, those unaddressed errors accumulate, and some of them are precisely the kind that set the stage for cancer. The research is definitive. Chronic sleep deprivation impairs immune surveillance, suppresses NK cell activity, elevates cortisol and inflammatory cytokines, and increases insulin resistance. Every one of these effects is a cancer risk factor. Adults over 50 who consistently sleep fewer than 6 hours per night have measurably elevated levels of inflammatory markers and significantly impaired immune function. And yet, this is one of the most underaddressed areas of cancer prevention in clinical medicine. The protocol is not complicated. Prioritize 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night as a non-negotiable health investment. Create an environment that supports deep sleep. Keep the room dark and cool, around 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Eliminate screens for at least 1 hour before bed, and eat your last meal at least 3 hours before sleeping. Even a 30-minute walk in natural morning light helps regulate your circadian rhythm and improves sleep depth at night. Sleep is not a passive state. It is active medicine. Treat it accordingly. Before we close out, I want to connect with our community one more time. If you have made it this far in the video, you are clearly someone who takes their health seriously, and that matters. Too many people wait for a diagnosis before they start paying attention to their body. You are not one of them. And that simple decision to be proactive rather than reactive is itself one of the most powerful things you can do for your long-term health. So thank you for being here. If this content has been valuable to you, please like this video and subscribe to the channel so we can keep bringing you science that actually moves the needle. Drop your city in the comments and let me know which of today's insights landed most powerfully for you. The sixth and final insight is about movement specifically, the type, timing, and frequency of physical activity that the research shows has the most meaningful impact on cancer risk after 50. And this is not about running marathons or spending hours in the gym. The evidence is actually pointing towards something much simpler and more accessible: consistent, moderate daily movement, particularly walking. Here is what is really going on inside your body when you move regularly. Physical activity reduces circulating levels of insulin and IGF-1, the growth hormone signal that we discussed earlier as a cancer accelerant. It lowers chronic inflammation by regulating cytokine production and activating anti-inflammatory pathways through contracting muscle tissue. It improves gut motility, which directly benefits the microbiome. It enhances immune surveillance by increasing NK cell circulation. And it helps regulate body fat, particularly visceral fat, the metabolically active fat around the organs that produces its own inflammatory hormones. A landmark analysis of physical activity data found that people who walked briskly for 30 minutes per day, 5 days per week, had measurably lower levels of circulating inflammation, better insulin sensitivity, and reduced risk for multiple cancers compared to sedentary individuals. The mechanism is not one single pathway. It is a cascade of interconnected biological improvements that collectively shift your body's internal environment away from one that is permissive to cancer growth toward one that actively resists it. Exercise after 50 is not optional maintenance. It is one of the most potent biological interventions available to you without a prescription. The behavioral protocol here is to commit to at least 30 minutes of brisk walking per day outdoors when possible, because natural light exposure adds the circadian benefits we discussed in the sleep section. Add 2 sessions per week of resistance training, bodyweight exercises, resistance bands, or light weights to preserve muscle mass and further improve insulin sensitivity. If a full 30-minute block is not realistic in your day, break it into 3 10-minute walks. The research shows that the metabolic benefits are nearly identical. The key is daily consistency over weeks and months, not intensity on any given day. Let us bring everything together. Here is what we now know. Inside your body, right now, microscopic cancer clusters exist as a normal part of aging biology. The question is never whether they are there. The question is whether your body's defense systems are strong enough to keep them harmless. And after 50, those defense systems need active daily support. Angiogenesis is the biological tipping point. Keep it balanced with anti-angiogenic foods: tomatoes cooked in olive oil, green tea, berries, cruciferous vegetables, dark chocolate, soy, and you deny cancer, the blood supply it needs to grow. Your gut microbiome is your immune system's command center. Feed it 30 diverse plant foods per week, add fermented foods, and minimize ultra-processed inputs, and you arm your immune surveillance system with everything it needs to patrol and protect. Chronic inflammation is the cancer-permissive environment that most people are unknowingly maintaining. Eliminate its primary dietary drivers, manage stress daily, and move your body to naturally regulate inflammatory signaling. Insulin dysregulation is the metabolic accelerant that makes a bad situation worse. Reduce refined carbohydrates, implement time-restricted eating, and rebuild your insulin sensitivity through diet and movement. Sleep is the repair cycle that catches DNA errors before they become cancer. Protect your 7 to 8 hours as seriously as any other health intervention. And daily movement, particularly walking and resistance training, is the free, accessible, profoundly effective biological tool that ties all of these systems together. None of these strategies require a prescription. None of them require expensive supplements or exotic protocols. They require consistency, intention, and the understanding that your body is not passive, it is actively defending you every single day. And what you do every single day determines how strong that defense is. Here's the challenge I want to leave you with. Choose just one of these 6 insights. 1. Commit to implementing it consistently for the next 21 days. Track how your energy, your digestion, your sleep quality, or your body composition responds. You will feel the difference, because when you give your biology what it needs, it responds. That is not opinion. That is physiology. And if this video added value to your understanding of your health, please like it, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe to BioBites so you never miss the science that could change your life. We will see you in the next one.